Hello there guys, welcome to another of my live videos, and I'm just going to give you some latest transfer news regarding Manchester United. The big breaking news now is in regards to Christen Eriksen. Reportedly, Manchester United have ended talks for Christen Eriksen, according to recent reports. So this is stemming from Sky Sports, it's also stemming from ESPN, it's also stemming from the BBC, saying that we have now ended our interest in Christen Eriksen because we've got other potential targets on our current agenda. Obviously, reports have been emerging now in the last couple of days, saying we were considering it on making a late audacious move for Christen Eriksen. Obviously, we was negotiating with Christen Eriksen's representatives around over the £50 million move, because obviously Tottenham earlier on this summer had valued Christen Eriksen at around £130 million, and I do believe Tottenham are braced for European clubs to make cut price bids for Christen Eriksen. But I think it got confirmed yesterday that Tottenham had reduced their asking price, and I think reportedly they were demanding that they wanted around £70 million. Manchester United were keen for getting him for around £50 million. So reportedly now we are no longer in for him, but we was only tentatively linked with Christen Eriksen anyway. He wasn't one of our main priority targets, but recent reports emerged out in the last couple of days saying that we'd gone in for the player. But I do believe we've ended our interest as well, because we do believe his preference is actually to make a move to Real Madrid, because obviously Real Madrid have been in for him for the majority of this summer, and I think he's keen on making a move to Real Madrid. But actually Real Madrid's first choice preference is Paul Pogba ahead of Christen Eriksen. But yeah, we was actually seeing Christen Eriksen as a replacement for Paul Pogba, but actually Christen Eriksen's move to Manchester United wasn't dependent on what happens with Paul Pogba. I think quite a few teams have inquired about his services. I think Tottenham have come to accept the fact that he does want to leave. Obviously he admitted this earlier on in the summer that he wants to leave Tottenham. I still believe he's got only a year remaining on his contract with Tottenham, but I think he does want to make the move to Real Madrid. Obviously Tottenham now are in the market looking for a replacement for Christen Eriksen, but I don't think Manchester United are going to get him, even though we are in search for a couple of midfielders, because obviously it's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's priority now anyway to get a couple of new additions in that midfield. Obviously we spent £148 million this summer on Daniel James, on Wan-Bissaka, and on Harry Maguire, but obviously we do know Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's going to want to build on that, and now his priority of course will be to recommend a couple of new additions in that midfield, regardless of what happens with Paul Pogba, because that midfield is one of the pivotal areas where Manchester United do need to strengthen up, because you've got Nemanja Matic that isn't good enough, he's too inconsistent, he's too slow, and of course he isn't getting many younger. You've got the likes of McTominay, Fred and Pereira. I think they're better solutions than Nemanja Matic, but I'm still very sceptical if they are the long-term solutions for Manchester United. I don't know if they've got all the attributes to currently succeed at Manchester United. And obviously with the situation with Paul Pogba, in the majority of his 3 years since rejoining Manchester United back in 2016 from Juventus, he has been really inconsistent. We do know Paul Pogba did well throughout pre-season. He did well in that 3-month period when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was the interim manager in that. But Solskjaer did say he's still confident that Paul Pogba will remain at the football club. But I do believe we need to bring at least one midfielder. And I think Christen Eriksen would have been the right type of calibre player for Manchester United. He's predominantly an attacking midfielder. Obviously I think he's been at Tottenham over 6 years, and I think he's made 277 appearances in all competitions, and I think he scored around 66 goals in 277 appearances. And I think in the Premier League for Tottenham he has made 206 appearances, scored 49 goals, and provided 60 assists. And I think Tottenham paid around, was it 11.5 million for him from Ajax back in 2013. But reflecting on his impressive performances with Tottenham, Christen Eriksen I think has won the Tottenham Player of the Year a couple of times. I think he's also won the Danish Footballer Player of the Year on 5 occasions. But reportedly now Manchester United are no longer in for the player. But we are still looking at other targets, as Simon Stone from the BBC does mention, because Simon Stone is quite reliable from the BBC, and I think overall anyway the BBC is a very reliable source. But obviously now the transfer window does shut on Thursday. Obviously teams, all the Premier League teams have got to finalise their incomings by 5 p.m. On Thursday, so there is now less than 36 hours remaining this transfer window. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did say he's looking looking to sign 1 or 2 more players before this window does shut, because I do believe Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka and Harry Maguire are not enough for Manchester United. I think we have got big ambitions for the future, and obviously that's obviously want to get back to winning trophies. Obviously this is something that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to bring back to the club, success. So he's looking to build a squad within the club's history. But I did say certain players may have reservations about joining Manchester United anyway, because we're not in a Champions League football. And, we've obviously failed to qualify for the Champions League 3 times out of the 6 seasons since Alex Ferguson's retirement. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer the other week was talking about our ambitions for this season. He believes the club will be aiming up for further up than 4th, and I believe we'll be aiming up for further up than 4th, because I do believe this season we will have a better season than what we saw last season. I think this season our expectations will be to finish in the top 4, maybe win some Super, and obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has got to exceed these expectations. But I think this season we will have a much better season. But I am still sceptical of Manchester United of course winning the league. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer I think was recently talking with Ed Woodward. Obviously Ed Woodward has been overseeing our transfer business, and he was talking with Ed Woodward about the lack of business in this transfer market, because Solskjaer was recently talking about our recruitment policy, because analysing our recruitment policy, especially in the last couple of windows, it hasn't been good enough. Obviously we didn't get anyone in January, we didn't get our number 1 targets last summer, and we're a big massive club with big massive revenues, and I do believe Solskjaer did get a substantial amount to spend. But like Solskjaer said, it's not always easy to get your number 1 targets. The transfer window of course is very difficult. But I'm sceptical now that Manchester United will make many more signs. I don't think it's currently going to happen. I think we've still got until the 2nd of September to negotiate the sale of players. I do believe Manchester United do need to sell players, because these problematic players the football club that do need to be sold. We need to get rid of Darmian. We also need to get rid of Rojo, because they're 2 problematic players at the football club, and I do believe we can generate around 35 or 40 million pounds for their departures. Obviously we're still working on getting Lukaku out the football club. I think Matic needs to go. I think the likes of Smalling and Phil Jones aren't good enough at Manchester United, and this is why I'm glad we've got Harry Maguire in, because I think Harry Maguire is a good upgrade to Smalling and Phil Jones. But Smalling and Phil Jones are 2 inconsistent now. I know we give them new long-term contracts last season. They have been 2 long-serving players in the football club, but they are 2 inconsistent now. But I'm glad we've got Harry Maguire in. Obviously it got announced a couple of days ago. Obviously we've paid £80 million to him, a world record fee. He is now the most expensive defender in the world, and I think he's going to get given his debut this Sunday against Chelsea on the opening day of the Premier League season. Is Harry Maguire. And I think, he has been given that number 5. I think actually, Rio Ferdinand, wore that number 5 for Manchester United, but he signed a 6-year contract with an option to extend it by further years. So I'm very delighted that Harry Maguire's coming. So now we have got that experienced centre-half in. Obviously, we've got that right-back in. We're in desperate need, to get a couple of new additions in that midfield. For the majority of the summer, we've also been in search for a right winger. But obviously, I'm very sceptical about right winger, coming to Manchester United. But Solskjaer's actual preference was, he wanted to get the majority of all our transfer business done, should I say, by the time we did initially go out on pre-season. But obviously that didn't currently materialise. But if the board don't get all the signings that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants, you can basically say that the board have let him down. Because basically the board assured that there was going to be backing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer this summer. And we have got a history of spending big on players. Because we have got the money to do that. At the moment, we've got big players on big contracts. You've got Rashford on 200 grand a week, potentially rising to 300 grand a week with the bonuses. You've got Sanchez, who's the highest paid player at the football club, also the highest paid player in the Premier League. You've got Paul Pogba, who's on around 290 grand a week. You've got Martial, who's on a substantial amount. So we have got players on big contracts. We know with De Gea, he's agreed a 6-year contract. He's going to be on around 375 grand a week. So maybe we do need to sell players, to free up our wage bill, maybe, generate more funds. But I do believe players need to leave the football club. And Solskjaer initially said, he's not intending on overspending on our transfer tax. But we have overspent on players in, recent years. I thought we maybe overspent, for Harry Maguire, because I didn't initially say 60 or 70 million pounds would have been reasonable. But we paid 80 million pounds. We overpaid for him, but I still believe he's going to deliver the goods to Manchester United. Highly experienced, can play the ball out, play the ball out from the back. Very good in the air, and I do believe he's going to address our defensive deficiencies fantastically well. We conceded 54 goals last season in the Premier League, and we only scored 53 goals last season in the Premier League. So, like I said, you can see where the problems are in the squad. And as I've been analysing the games, throughout pre-season, we do look a much better team. We do look better in that attacking third end of the pitch, because we have got that pace now up front, and that's something we lacked last season, that pace. This is why I wasn't scoring enough goals. This is why I wasn't, ruthless enough in front of a goal, because obviously, we didn't have enough pace. But you've got Daniel James with electrifying pace. He's still a prospect, and Daniel James needs time to develop. You've got Rashford with good pace. You've got Martial with good pace. There was inconsistent in the last couple of months of last season, but throughout pre-season, I think Rashford and Martial have done well. You can play them both out wide. You can also play them centrally. I think the club will orchestrate on playing Martial more centrally in the Premier League this season, because I think he fulfills that number 9 role very, very well, and he seems to be more effective there. I think Rashford will play centrally a couple of times this season. Sometimes he'll play out wide, because both players, like I just said, can play out wide, can play centrally. Obviously you've got Mason Greenwood. He's the upcoming future. I think he's been assured more playing time this season, especially if we can get Lukaku out of the football club. Also, Chong is the upcoming future as well. So we do look much better in that attacking third of the pitch. But like I said, we have got upcoming players. We've got experienced players, and of course we've got fringe players. But I think more the majority of the squad, will get the chances this season in the Premier League. A couple of Manchester United fans have said maybe we should, orchestrate on loaning a couple of young players out, such as Chong, maybe Angel Gomez, because maybe it'll be brighter for their future, and obviously it'll gain them a bit more experience. But we have got a pretty decent squad. I don't think it's good enough at the moment, to win the league, or even a challenger for the league, because I do believe we still need a couple of new additions in that midfield. On the left hand side, I think we're okay. We don't need to address that left hand side, because you've got Daniel James that primarily plays off the left. We've played him on the right a few times because he can play on the right, but he's supposed to be more effective from that left. And you've got Luke Shaw, left back, who's very reliable. Obviously he's our first choice left back. Won the double play of the year last season, reflecting on his impressive performances. But yeah, I think Manchester United still need a right winger. Obviously, if Lukaku leaves the football club, obviously, we're going to need a replacement for them. But we do know the targets that Manchester United have been in for. So Christen Eriksen now, you can say, is out of the equation. He may even end up staying at Tottenham and that, but he confirmed that he wants to leave Tottenham. But we have now ended our interest in the player, because we've ended the talks, because we believe his preference is a move to Real Madrid. So I just don't think Christen Eriksen has got any intentions of coming to Manchester United. Obviously, Tottenham, don't forget, did reduce their asking price, because obviously they're going to find it difficult to offload Christen Eriksen, for £130 million. This is what Tottenham and Daniel Levy and that I wanted. And I did say to Daniel Levy is currently a hard negotiator. But the other targets we've been in for, obviously, Bruno Fernandes, he's been linked with Manchester United for the entirety of the summer. Obviously, Sean Longstaff, his name's obviously being mentioned. Obviously, the rumours have been flirting around by Paulo Dybala. But so many targets have been on our current agenda. So we'll give you the latest news now in regards to Bruno Fernandes. Now, obviously, Tottenham are in there now for Bruno Fernandes. Obviously, Tottenham have re-entered the equation now, because obviously for the majority of the summer it's been mainly Manchester United that have been in for Bruno Fernandes. Now, reportedly, I think Tottenham have had a couple of bids turned down for him. Obviously, Tottenham and Manchester United obviously have not yet come to an agreement on fee with Sporting Lisbon, and I did say Sporting Lisbon's valuation does seem to be the stumbling block of Bruno Fernandes making his proposed move to Manchester United or Tottenham. Sporting Lisbon have confirmed they want in the excess of around £65 million. Tottenham, from Tottenham's perspective, I think they want to get him for around £55 million. I think it didn't say that Bruno Fernandes has agreed the personal terms with Tottenham and that. But I think we've been regarded as the favourites to sign him for the majority of the summer. But quite recently now, I think Tottenham have moved ahead of Manchester United in the race. Now, obviously, a lot of reports were reflecting out last week, and I think it also happened during the course of the weekend that Tottenham obviously flown out to Portugal to obviously go hold talks with Federico Varandas, the Sporting Lisbon president, over possibly getting a deal thrashed out for Bruno Fernandes. So obviously, Tottenham have got quite a few players on their agenda. They have done transfer activity this summer. Don't forget, they smashed their transfer record for Tanguy Ndombele, who they paid them around £65 million for. Obviously, they got Jack Clarke on the board, but obviously we do know Tottenham are looking to do more investment in this transfer window. They've had Ryan Sessegnon on their agenda. They've got Bruno Fernandes on their agenda. They're still working on getting the deal more than line for Giovanni Lascelles. So obviously they're in for Dybala. So obviously Tottenham are looking for a replacement for Christen Eriksen. But I think, Bruno Fernandes' actual preference is a move to Tottenham over Manchester United. I think that's obviously his preferred destination. Tottenham can offer Bruno Fernandes Champions League football. Obviously, Manchester United can't offer him Champions League football. So that could go against us in that aspect. Obviously, reports emerged out last Friday that Bruno Fernandes had left Sporting Lisbon's training ground after a meeting, to finalise his transfer exit. Obviously, I think Bruno Fernandes and his agent, met up. I think met up with, you know, the boss of Sporting Lisbon, also met up with the president and the sporting director to obviously, you know, finalise his transfer exit away from Sporting Lisbon. Obviously, you know, Bruno Fernandes played in the game for Sporting Lisbon on Sunday against Benfica. Obviously, you know, Benfica did win the game by 5-0, and I do believe that's going to be Bruno Fernandes' farewell appearance, you know, for Sporting Lisbon. Or he's already made his farewell appearance, but I do believe, you know, he wants to make the move to Tottenham. But I think reports emerged out a couple of days ago saying that, you know, we've held, you know, more extensive talks with Bruno Fernandes' agent, and reportedly now it says we've agreed a 6-year contract with the player. I was reading reports about this yesterday. 6-year contract worth up to around £106,000 a week, but it has been revealed that no fee has yet, you know, come to an agreement. So I did say, you know, Sporting Lisbon's valuation, you know, does seem to be the current stumbling block, but Tottenham's actual priority now is to recommend the number 10 in, because obviously, you know, they want to put an attacking midfielder, of course, in their squad. But Bruno Fernandes' agent, you know, anywhere has been to the UK quite a few times. Obviously, you know, he's looking for the best possible deal for his client. Obviously, a lot of reports were emerging out last week as well, you know, saying that, you know, Sporting Lisbon had denied their speculation. They denied their speculation, saying that Man United had reached an agreement for Bruno Fernandes, so they did deny this speculation. And it reported said, you know, we made an offer to Sporting Lisbon through Bruno Fernandes' agent and that. But yeah, and you know, Damasio, he came out last week, and you know, Damasio, majority of the time, is a very reliable Italian journalist. You know, he does get a couple of things wrong sometimes, as Bruno Fernandes, and he does Damasio, sorry, and he has got quite a few things wrong in the past. But he reported out last week, just like he did in regards to Harry Maguire. He basically said, you know, Manchester United are close to signing Bruno Fernandes. He said, you know, we have an agreement in principle with Sporting Lisbon for Bruno Fernandes, and I think Bruno Fernandes actually, you know, told his teammates, you know, that he's expected to leave Sporting Lisbon this summer. But we do know that, you know, the Sporting Lisbon boss, you know, he's had his overarching view on the speculation about Bruno Fernandes, and you know, he basically said that, you know, he's very adamant that he'll leave, but he said he wasn't sure he'll leave at one point. He did basically say that, analysing it throughout the course of the summer, that clubs have been keen on signing Bruno Fernandes, mainly, you know, Manchester United. But Federico Varandas, the Sporting Lisbon president, you know, he's come out and revealed, you know, what fee a club will have to pay, you know, to convince Sporting Lisbon to offload him. So Sporting Lisbon want around £65 million. I think they did initially value him at around £70 million and that. But I'm very sceptical about him now coming out to Manchester United. So I do believe Bruno Fernandes now to Manchester United is off. If he does leave Sporting Lisbon, I think he'll probably, you know, end up making the move to Tottenham. You know, Liverpool have been tentatively linked with him, you know, throughout the course of the summer. Obviously, it hasn't been one of their main priority targets. But I think, you know, our board, you know, had quite a few element of concerns, you know, about, you know, recommending Bruno Fernandes to the football club, because obviously, you know, he's got little experience of playing in the Champions League. Obviously, hasn't really got the you know, the experience of playing to the highest level, because he hasn't really played to the highest level as yet. But either way, if Bruno Fernandes comes to Tottenham, if he comes to Manchester United, and if he comes to England, basically, I think he will succeed, and I think he will exceed expectation levels, because I do believe he's got all the attributes to currently succeed. You know, Bruno Fernandes can score goals, he can create chances, he can provide assists, and he's demonstrated that in his 2 years in Portugal. You know, he scored, 31 or 32 goals was it last season. You know, he's predominantly an attacking midfielder. He's still got, 4 years remaining on his contract with Sporting Lisbon. His initial release clause is around £88 million, but we're obviously not determined to go anywhere near that figure. But he's done well in his 2 years, and obviously spent the majority of his career in Italy when he was younger. You know, he had good spells with Sampdoria. He also had good spells with Udinese. But obviously he's been one of our main priority targets throughout the course of the summer. And, you know, with the situation with Paul Pogba, you know, that's not having any effect on Bruno Fernandes, you know, coming to Manchester United. So Bruno Fernandes moved to Manchester United for the majority of the summer, as obviously, you know, not being dependent on, you know, what happens with Paul Pogba. But, you know, I would be excited about the prospect of Bruno Fernandes, you know, playing alongside Paul Pogba and that in our midfield. And Bruno Fernandes is only 24 years of age. You know, he has still got a lot of development in him. But a player of Bruno Fernandes' calibre and level, he's not going to want to spend the rest of his career with Sporting Lisbon. He's not going to want to spend several years with Sporting Lisbon. He's going to obviously, you know, want to currently move on. But Tottenham have agreed the personal terms, as far as I'm aware. You know, they had a £55 million bid, I think, turned down. So basically, you know, I don't know if Tottenham are willing to pay the £65 million that Sporting Lisbon do want. But yeah, his future is basically, you know, still up in the air at the moment. But, you know, flexing back the other week, it actually, you know, said we reached a transfer agreement with Sporting Lisbon for Bruno Fernandes, and it said this was coming from the Italian press, but these stories got proven to be sceptical, and they said we reached an agreement on a fee with Sporting Lisbon for around, was it 62 or 63 million pounds for Fernandes, and it reportedly said he was set to fly out the UK for his Manchester United medical ahead of his proposed move to Old Trafford. I think a couple of reports emerged out quite recently saying that Real Madrid had entered the race for the player, but I think we look set now to miss out on Bruno Fernandes, so actually now Tottenham could win the race for the player. But that's one of the targets they've seen as a replacement for Christen Eriksen. Like I said, they're also working on the Giovanni Lo Celso saga. Yeah, so that's the latest news about him. So with the situation with Paul Pogba now, it still remains uncertain, whether Paul Pogba, is going to be staying at Manchester United. We're not too sure yet. Obviously, we do know Paul Pogba has been relentlessly, linked to a move to Real Madrid. Like I did say with the Christen Eriksen situation, we've opted out of, the Christen Eriksen race because obviously we believe he wants to make the move to Real Madrid. But from Real Madrid's perspective, their actual first choice preference is Paul Pogba over Christen Eriksen. And we do know Real Madrid has spent a substantial amount this summer. They spent around £300 million on 5 players, or is it over £300 million on 5 players and all that. So obviously, we've said one around 150 or 160 million pounds for Paul Pogba. You got reports coming out the other week saying that we was demanding 180 million pounds, so we was basically demanding more than double from what we initially paid for Paul Pogba back in 2016 from Juventus. There has been reports emerging out, saying that he could possibly make a return back to Turin, because he did have 4 good years in Turin, did Paul Pogba, but hasn't really replicated this form since he did make the return to Manchester United. And like I did say, for the large portions of the 3 years since he returned, he has been very, very inconsistent, but I still believe he is the long-term solution for Manchester United. If we did sell Paul Pogba, don't get me wrong, I think it would help us with our rebuilding process, and it would help us with our transition, because we'd generate a substantial amount for his departure, and we'll probably be able to get maybe 2 or 3 players for his departure. But there again, that will be bad business for Manchester United. So say we sell Pogba for 150 million, then we've got around 2 or 3 players in for 150 million pounds. We'd be basically only spending what we generated, so that would be pretty bad business from the football club. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer knows how much of an imperative player he is, and I think he's doing everything he can to try and convince Paul Pogba to remain at the football club. You got Paul Pogba's agent Mini Raiola coming out the other week saying that Paul Pogba is in the process of leaving Manchester United. And obviously a couple of months ago Paul Pogba did say he's seeking for a new challenge. He publicly admitted that he wants to leave Manchester United for the first time, and he was actually orchestrating on putting a transfer request in. I do believe Real Madrid have generated some funds this summer, because I think they've sold a couple of players, and I think they've generated around £100 million. But Zinedine Zidane is a big admirer of Paul Pogba. I don't know who's going to be the captain for Manchester United this season. I'm not too sure about that. There's been quite a few names thrown into the hat who could get that captaincy. Solskjaer did reveal that he's considered Paul Pogba for the captaincy this season, in a bid to convince him to remain at the football club. I think De Gea has demanded that he wants to become the captain. I think there's been talks of Harry Maguire getting it. I think it should get given to Harry Maguire, because I think he'd be a great leader in our back line. There was talks of Ashley Young getting it and that. Obviously Paul Pogba's agent Mini Raiola has been in the process of finding Paul Pogba a new club, at least for the last couple of months, or should I say for the entirety of the summer. But there was a lot of parts of Paul Pogba leaving the club last year, obviously based on his poor relationship with Jose Mourinho, because obviously we do know that Paul Pogba had a poor relationship with Jose Mourinho. Obviously I think there was talks about him going to Juventus last year. There was also talks about him going to Barcelona back in January. Paul Pogba at the football club, he's won the Europa League and the League Cup. Obviously, that came in his second season with Manchester United. I think his stats were very impressive last season. He made 47 appearances, scored 16 goals and provided 11 assists. But Paul Pogba's still got 2 years left in his contract with Manchester United, with an option to extend by a further year. But it was initially in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's plans, to build a side around Paul Pogba. But his future, still remains uncertain at the moment. But if he leaves the football club, it's definitely sure then we do need 2 new additions in that midfield. That we do need 2 new additions in that current midfield. But Paul Pogba still got a lot of years ahead of him. Only 26 years of age. Basically in his prime. But I don't know what's happening with it at the moment. But he did say, obviously, that he does want to leave the football club, does the player. But like I said, there's been other midfielders on our agenda. Manchester United being in for. Obviously, there's been talks about Sean Longstaff from Newcastle. I'm very sceptical about him now. Obviously, making the move to Manchester United. I don't see Sean Longstaff coming in, because obviously, Steve Bruce has just been appointed as Newcastle's new manager. Obviously, following dismissal of Rafa Benitez was it at the end of June, and Steve Bruce, he's had his overarching view on the speculation about Sean Longstaff, and he's dismissed speculation of him joining Manchester United. And Steve Bruce believes that Sean Longstaff's future, lies with Newcastle. Obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer instructed Manchester United to get a transfer prioritised for the player. Obviously, we initially value Sean Longstaff at around 18 or 20 million pounds, and that's what we initially value the player at. But he confirmed the other week Newcastle have indicated out that he's not for sale, so Newcastle are being ruthless in regards to Sean Longstaff, and they've basically said, they wouldn't sell, they'd only consider selling him if they were to receive a bid in the excess of at least 50 million pounds, and I just don't think Manchester United would be willing to pay 50 million pounds for the player. Now, obviously, I think it said the other week, we was orchestrating on putting around the 30 million pound bidding for Sean Longstaff. Obviously, this will be too insufficient for Newcastle. We haven't made an official bid as yet. I do believe Manchester United have held high level talks and that with Newcastle, but Newcastle of course remain ruthless over this. But he's only 21 years of age. He's predominantly a central midfielder, so he's mainly box-to-box midfielder, and he's only got 9 games under his belt as Sean Longstaff. Don't forget, because obviously he made his debut for Newcastle in December of last year. Obviously, he did well in the second half of last season. He thrived under Rafa Benitez's guidance and that. Obviously, he did sustain a knee injury back in March, so he didn't play the last couple of months of last season due to his knee ligament injury he had sustained, and I still think he's got around 4 years remaining on his contract with Newcastle. And I think we'd initially been given a boost in our pursuit with Sean Longstaff, following the departure of Rafa Benitez, but I think Steve Bruce has dismissed speculation of him, joining Manchester United. So he's been another midfielder on our agenda. So basically, we're orchestrating on keeping Paul Pogba at the football club, and obviously, bringing 2 midfielders in, that can replace Herrera and Mario Fellaini, because obviously, they've obviously left the football club. 3 players have departed the football club since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got recommended in, and that was obviously Antonio Valencia. He left after 10 years. Obviously, we do know obviously Herrera and Mario Fellaini, of course, have left the club, and I do believe we definitely need to sell more players. Solskjaer did initially say he's very adamant that we don't need to sell players, but there is problematic players at the football club that do need to leave. But people were saying at the end of the summer, sorry, not the end of the summer, the beginning of the summer, sorry, should I say, that we should be sensible over our recruitment this summer, because you're looking at over the last 6 years, we spent a hell of a lot of money. It got revealed when the signing of Harry Maguire got confirmed a couple of days ago. We spent £968 million in the last 6 years since Alex Ferguson's retirement, and that's just basically just under £1 billion. So if we was to make another signing before this window did shut, it'd take our spending up to over £1 billion in the last 6 years, of course. But so a hell of a lot of money is being invested into the football club. The £968 million obviously includes of what we spent under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer this summer, because obviously this is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. This has been Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first summer as Manchester United manager. But I think over £1 billion being spent at the club since our Champions League success back in 2008 against Chelsea in Moscow. But like I said, a hell of a lot of money is being invested into the football club. But we have got a history of spending big on players. Like I said, Pogba, £89 million, our most expensive signing. We've got Harry Maguire this summer, £80 million for Harry Maguire. He's actually now the second most expensive signing in the Premier League. He's also our second most expensive signing. You've got Lukaku, that's one of our most expensive signings. You've got Aaron Wan-Bissaka now, that's one of our most expensive signings. You've got Fred, who's one of our most expensive signings who we got last summer. I think with Fred, I think we overpaid for him. Reflecting back on Louis van Gaal back in 2015, we spent a substantial amount on Angel Di Maria. We paid just under £60 million for him. But analysing, the majority of this squad is not Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. There's only 3 players that are his at the moment. There's only 3 players that are his, so he's basically still inheriting 11 of Jose Mourinho's players. He's obviously, still inheriting players here from the Louis van Gaal era. There's still Matter here from the David Moyes era, don't forget. And there's still players here from the Alex Ferguson era that he's currently inheriting. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer believes he's following a policy that proved successful and that under Alex Ferguson. But like I said, I think our expectations this season will be to finish in the top 4. I did initially say our aspirations, will be that top 4 in the next couple of seasons. I did initially say. But I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is the right man, that can get, Manchester United back to success. I don't think we're going to have a bit of team like we was under Alex Ferguson. I think we had a great team in Alex Ferguson's generation. We had a fantastic team, and obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to build a team and that to win trophies. And we're never going to do what we did under Alex Ferguson. No one's going to ever follow Alex Ferguson's legacy. But I do believe we're going to get back to being a competitive elite level football club. And But like I said, there's been so many targets on our agenda, throughout the course of the summer. So I want to give you the latest news as I actually did do on my previous video in regards to Paulo Dybala. Now, obviously, reports were coming out yesterday. This was stemming out from Di Marzio. Again, Di Marzio does report on quite a few stuff. Like I said, he's reliable the majority of the time. He did say yesterday that Tottenham have agreed a €70 million fee with Juventus for Paulo Dybala. So, like I said, €70 million equates to just over 64 million in pounds sterling. So, reportedly now Tottenham have come to an agreement on a fee with Juventus. It's not imminent that he'll make the move to Tottenham, because I did initially say now Tottenham will want to find an agreement with Dybala and of course his agent regarding the personal terms. But I do believe Dybala's wage demands actually could be the stumbling block of Dybala making his move to Tottenham. Could be the stumbling block of him, making his move to Tottenham, because I do believe I've just read recent reports and it says, Dybala wants around £300,000 a week, to join Tottenham. So basically, he's demanding £50,000 more than what initially, Harry Kane is on at Tottenham. Obviously, we had been in there for Paul Dybala, but as you all know, we ended our interest in Dybala. Obviously, due to his extortionate wage demands, because Dybala was demanding £350,000 a week to come to Manchester United. Also, the agent fees, and we also end our interest, with his reservations by joining the football club. Now, obviously, Tottenham would see Dybala as a good replacement for Christen Eriksen. Dybala is predominantly a number 10. I do believe he can also play as a forward, but Tottenham may struggle, of course, to meet his wage demands. Well, initially, we do know Manchester United were in for him. I do believe last week there was some credibility in possibly Dybala coming to Manchester United, because Sky in Italy, did report out last week. They said Man United and Juventus had agreed a swap deal in principle, involving Romelu Lukaku and Paulo Dybala. But I did initially say when the swap deal was on, the deal did hinge on Dybala agreeing and move to Manchester United. But obviously, he's rejected the Manchester United transfer, because I did say he's got reservations by joining the football club. It obviously, it fueled more speculation about Paul Dybala, last week and over the course of the weekend, because obviously, he'd been withdrawn from Juventus training initially until his transfer saga was resolved. I do believe Juventus also forced Dybala, to train on his own. They forced him to train on his own. So obviously, that fueled more speculation, because obviously, they forced him to train on his own. And I think, Dybala become infuriated with this. I think he also became sad as well. And I think he actually wanted out with Juventus. But I do believe his actual preference is to remain in Turin. But we do know a lot of reports came out last week saying that Paulo Dybala's agent had obviously travelled to London. He held quite a few negotiations with Manchester United, did Paulo Dybala's agent. Obviously, he also held secondary talks with Manchester United over the wage demands. And I think also the Juventus sporting director had travelled to London. I do believe he also travelled to Manchester to obviously discuss Paulo Dybala's potential move to Manchester United. Now, reportedly, Tottenham could get the deal over the line for the player. Tottenham have already smashed their transfer record already this summer. Probably Tottenham would have to smash their transfer record again to get a deal over the line for Dybala, because I think Juventus did say they initially want around from between 70 to 90 million pounds for the player. So the fee's been agreed between Tottenham and Juventus, but obviously they haven't come to an agreement on the personal terms. So obviously, if he's at the moment in his current contract with Juventus, he's on around 120 grand a week, and that equates to around £6.5 million a year. So basically, for him to basically go to Tottenham, he's demanding £180,000 pay rise, because he said he wants around £300,000 a week to go to Tottenham. I do believe him and Harry Kane would blend in Tottenham's team fantastically well, because like I said, Tottenham want to do further more investment, because I do believe Tottenham and Pochettino's expectations will be this season is probably to win a trophy. Don't get me wrong, Pochettino's a very, very good manager. He's well Premier League proven, he's good at developing players, but he hasn't got that proven pedigree yet of winning any silverware. Where Tottenham did get to their first Champions League final last season, and they are a very, very good team now, but there's still further more investment needed in their squad. They had a few injury problems last season. Kane sustained quite a few injuries. They had Dele Alli that sustained quite a few injuries, and that's obviously that's Tottenham's two main players. So I think a lot of Tottenham fans would be excited if they could get this deal over the line for Dybala. But I'm very sceptical about him now. Coming to Manchester United. But it's a shame that this Dybala and Lukaku swap deal didn't go through, because I think it would have been very, very good, because you've got got Dybala, that's surplus 2 requirements at Juventus. You've got Romelu Lukaku, that's surplus 2 requirements at Manchester United. And Dybala's initially lost his place in the Juventus team anyway, because obviously, last season, obviously, we do know last season that Dybala had initially, lost his place to Cristiano Ronaldo in the Juventus team. And I think recently Cristiano Ronaldo, give his overarching view on, he said basically, Dybala, should come to Manchester United. This is what he basically said, because maybe Ronaldo believes it will be beneficial for his career. But his goal scoring pedigree in Italy is very, very good. He's still 25, he's Dybala, and he's still got a hell of a lot of development in him. He scored 78 goals in 182 appearances for Juventus in all competitions. Obviously, he's won 4 Serie A's and 3 Coppa Italians during his 4 years with Juventus, and I think in the entirety of his career so far, he has scored 118 goals and still got 3 years remaining on his contract term and that with Juventus. But Juventus are looking to offload the player, but I do believe his preference is to remain in training, and he did return to training earlier on this week. I think it was on Monday he had returned to training, and I think he's held quite a few negotiations with Maurizio Sarri. But with Juventus, maybe they're open to offloading a couple of their players anyway, I should presume, because they've done good business this summer. They spent an extortionate amount on De Ligt, they spent an extortionate amount on Ronaldo last summer, and they've got players on big contract term with Juventus, so maybe they're willing to offload a couple of their players, including Dybala, to free up their wage bill and obviously help them generate more funds. But Juventus have done good business this summer, so we do know that Dybala and Lukaku swap deal now is obviously dead in the water. It's dead in the water. But if actually Tottenham do get if Tottenham do officially sign Dybala, obviously Juventus can, generate the funds from his departure, which is supposedly around £64 million, and obviously, they can go in then for Romelu Lukaku, because I still believe, Juventus are in there for Romelu Lukaku. And the breaking news about Romelu Lukaku, I think actually, did give me an update about this on my last video I did earlier on today. Reportedly, Lukaku has been fined £400,000 with his refusal to return to training. I think yesterday, because we do know that Romelu Lukaku has been training with the Anderlecht reserves in the past couple of days, and I think he had been granted permission, to go train with the Anderlecht reserves, but I do believe he was expected to return back to training with Manchester United yesterday, but he refused. So now reportedly, Lukaku has been fined £400,000 and that, but he has been training with the Anderlecht reserves, because obviously Lukaku awaits to leave Manchester United. I also believe that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has asked Romelu Lukaku from our squad, for the game against Chelsea on Sunday, and obviously, it fueled more speculation about Lukaku, because obviously, Lukaku didn't make one appearance throughout pre-season. According to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said that Lukaku had some kind of ankle problem. This is why Lukaku didn't play throughout pre-season. But obviously, Lukaku anyway has confirmed that he wants to leave the football club. Obviously now with the swap deal breaking down between Dybala and Romelu Lukaku, obviously Inter Milan now have revived their interest in the player. As you updated on my last video, Inter Milan have now had the second bid turned down of £68 million. Obviously the other week Inter Milan had a £54 million bid turned down, and I do believe Inter Milan also inquired about getting Romelu Lukaku on a 2-year loan with the obligation to buy at the end of the loan and that, but Manchester United didn't entertain this offer. But Antonio Conte he said that Inter Milan still remain interested in him. Obviously Antonio Conte has identified Romelu Lukaku as his number one target, because Inter Milan have been in for him for the entirety of the summer basically. But I think for the majority of the summer Inter Milan have obviously been struggling to meet our valuation, because obviously we said we want around 75 or 80 million pounds. So we're looking to recoup the money that we did pay for Lukaku a couple of years ago from Everton and that. Obviously I think we overpaid for him, because we did pay 75 million pounds for him. It was initially 90 million pounds, if you want to include the 15 million add-ons in the deal. He's still got 3 years left and that on his contract. And Lukaku's on a substantial amount. He's on around £200,000 a week. But yeah, I still think, Inter Milan are still trying to get the deal over the line for Romelu Lukaku. But yeah, Inter Milan have held several negotiations with Manchester United. Also, Federico Pastorella, who's Lukaku's agent, he's held quite a few negotiations with Inter Milan. And, he basically said, that Inter Milan are desperate to sign the player. We do know Inter Milan have been under financial fair play restrictions, or they still are under financial fair play restrictions. And Inter Milan have been trying to offload a couple of their players, to help them generate funds, to meet that 75 75 or 80 million pound valuation. But of course, Inter Milan have struggled to do this. But Antonio Conte has been a long admirer of the player. Conte wanted Lukaku. Obviously, when he was a manager of Chelsea a couple of years ago, obviously Conte did win the title in his first season with Chelsea. But obviously, he turned down Chelsea at that point and ended up making the move to Manchester United. And Lukaku did describe Antonio Conte as one of the best managers in the world. But yeah, it is Inter Milan and Juventus, of course, that are battling out for his services. Me talking on Lukaku's behalf, my preference, would be Juventus over Inter Milan, because I think, at Juventus, he'd be guaranteed more success. And I think Lukaku was saying a while back he was excited about going to Juventus, and he was excited about the prospect, of linking up with Cristiano Ronaldo in the Juventus team. But since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got recommended in, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first choice preference has been Marcus Rashford ahead of Romelu Lukaku. So, and obviously you've got Mason Greenwood, that's upcoming now. You've got Chong, that's upcoming now. We've got Rashford, Martial and Daniel James, even Lingard in that attacking line. So obviously, Lukaku's going to find it very hard to get in that mix. Don't get me wrong, I'll credit Lukaku. His goal scoring pedigree is very good in the Premier League. He did really, really well for Everton. I think he was at Chelsea as well when he was younger in that. And I think, he was exceptional in his first season with Manchester United. He's been at the club 2 years, was exceptional in his first season, didn't really replicate that in his second season, but in his 2 seasons with Manchester United, he has scored 42 goals in 96 games in all competitions as Romelu Lukaku. But yeah, I think it's very beneficial if Man United offload him, and I think it'll also be very beneficial for the player. But we've still got time anyway, to work on, getting Lukaku out of the football club. Solskjaer has spoken to the vast majority of our players anyway this summer, but he did initially say, he still wants Romelu Lukaku to remain at the football club. Well, he said this quite a few weeks back now. He's asked him for the squad against Chelsea on Sunday, because obviously, the football club, do want to get rid of him. And obviously, if Lukaku does leave the football club, obviously, we are going to need an adequate replacement for him. So that's very, very essential indeed. That's very, very essential indeed. But for me, I don't think we're going to make any more signings now. I think that's about it, to be quite honest. I think the 3 we've got in, I think that's it. We're not going to do any more business in this window because it shuts on Thursday. Don't forget at 5 p.m. It shuts on Thursday because obviously the window opened early on this summer. But I am quite sure that it's the 2nd of September until clubs have got time to currently sell players and that. But like I said, there's still quite a lot to address in the Manchester United squad. But I do believe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is the right man to take Manchester United forward. Obviously, with Eric Bay, obviously, he's got a serious knee injury. He sustained this against Tottenham. Eric Bay is a huge doubt for this season, as you all know. I think he's out for up to 5 months. And it's same with Rojo, his Manchester United career has been mainly affected with the amount of injuries he's sustained. And it's the same with Eric Bay. Eric Bay is an imperative player. He holds his line very well. He's got great potential, and he does well when he's fully fit. But I just think he's too injury prone now. Not only that he's injury prone, I also believe that he's his Manchester United career has been mainly affected. The fallout and that he's had under managers. So it's really taken its toll and that on Eric Bay. So yeah. So these are still lots to address in the Manchester United squad. So yeah, and that's mainly everything to update you. So the main part of this video was to give the news about Christen Eriksen. We have ended talks now for Christen Eriksen because we do believe his preference is to make a move to Real Madrid. And his heart is set on a move to Real Madrid. And obviously we've got other potential targets on mind, as Simon Stone does mention in the BBC. Even though Tottenham did reduce their asking price to around £70 million, he did say it cost us in the excess around £60 or £70 million with Eriksen, but it was £130 million at one point. But Christen Eriksen confirmed early on this summer anyway that he does want to leave Tottenham. He's predominantly an attacking midfield. He's Premier League proven. Don't forget he's 27 years of age, is Christen Eriksen, so he's highly experienced, but he's not coming to Manchester United now, so we say he's now out of the equation. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.